All right, let's talk about a weird 100-year-old law. A law that literally shapes the US economy in ways you probably never even think about. We're talking about a law so strange it can make cows fly and even force parts of America to buy goods from other countries. It's wild.
So here's the thing, and it's a real head scratcher. When you look at the United States, I mean, it should be a shipper's paradise, right? You've got this huge country loaded with resources and these massive coastlines on both sides. And yet, something is seriously wrong with its shipping industry, like fundamentally broken.
Okay, so to really get this, let's look at our first clue. It's what you could call a geographic paradox. And for that, we're going to head to Hawaii, to a place called Parker Ranch. Now, this isn't just any ranch. It's one of the biggest cattle ranches in the entire country. You think they'd have a massive advantage, right? Selling all that beef to the mainland should be a piece of cake. But it's not even close.
I mean, just think about it. On paper, the US is built to be a shipping giant. You've got 95,000 miles of coastline connecting all these incredibly diverse parts of the country. You've got oil, you've got crops, you've got this massive, hungry domestic market. Moving things by sea should be the absolute cheapest, smartest way to get stuff from point A to point B. But that's not what happens. Instead, you get these totally bizarre situations. Like a pig farmer in North Carolina, it's cheaper for them to get soybeans all the way from Brazil than from Iowa. Or how about this one? Maryland needs rock salt for its roads. Do they get it from Louisiana 1,000 miles away? Nope. They buy it from Chile, over 5,000 miles away. This doesn't make any sense from a purely economic standpoint. Something else is going on here. Something is messing with the market.
So, okay, where's the smoking gun? What's the proof that something is actively holding back American shipping? Well, let's take a look at the numbers.
And boom, here it is. Since 1960, the US population has doubled, and pretty much every way we move stuff has grown with it. Rail cargo, up 50%. Trucks, pipelines, huge growth. But domestic shipping, it's actually gone down. It's the only one. It's moving less stuff today than it was when The Flintstones was a new TV show. That is not a natural market trend. No way. So yeah, this isn't some accident. It's not a complicated economic shift that's hard to explain. No, this strange decline can be traced back to one thing: a single, really powerful law that was passed more than 100 years ago.
And that law is the Jones Act. Now, officially, it's just a part of the Merchant Marine Act of 1920, but everyone just calls it the Jones Act. On the surface, it sounds pretty straightforward. It just says that if you're going to ship something by water between two U.S. ports, like from Seattle down to L.A., it has to be on a U.S.-flagged ship. Simple, right? Well, the bevel, as they say, is in the details.
Because US flagged isn't just about flying Old Glory. It comes with a whole list of rules. 4 big ones, actually. The ship has to be built right here in the United States. It has to be owned by US citizens. The crew, all US citizens. And of course, it has to be registered in the US. These 4 rules, they sound simple, but they create this massive, cascading chain reaction. So you're probably asking, how do 4 little rules cause such a huge problem? Well, it all kicks off a vicious cycle. See, the moment you say ships have to be built in America, you've just wiped out all foreign competition for shipbuilders.
And you can literally watch this toxic feedback loop unfold over the last 100 years. With no competition, American-built ships just get more and more expensive. Back in 1920, they were about 20% more. By the 50s, 200% more. And today, it's absolutely staggering. We're talking 500% more expensive, 5 times the cost of a ship built elsewhere. And of course, if they cost that much, people build fewer of them, which just drives the price of the few that do get built even higher.
And the result? It's exactly what you'd expect. When shipping by sea costs a fortune, businesses just don't do it. They find another way. And the difference this makes is just insane. In the United States, only 2% of all freight moves by sea. Now compare that to Europe. They've got great highways and rail too, but over there, 40% of their freight travels by sea. The US has basically abandoned its own superhighways of the ocean.
You know, there's a really great analogy for this. Imagine if tomorrow, Congress just passed a law that said the left half of every single road in America is now closed. You couldn't use it. We wouldn't just stop driving, would we? We'd all be crammed onto the right side, creating these monster traffic jams, and we'd probably end up building way more expensive new roads to deal with it. Well, that's exactly what the Jones Act does to our waterways. It just walls off the cheapest, most efficient option. And for places that are essentially captive markets, places like Hawaii or Puerto Rico that don't have the option of roads or railways to the mainland, the effect is even worse. Take Puerto Rico. It's a US territory, right? But it gets 100% of its liquefied natural gas from other countries, not from the US mainland. Why? Because it's actually cheaper to import it from halfway around the world than it is to ship it from a US port on a Jones Act compliant ship. Just think about that. Okay, so this law is clearly expensive and it's super inefficient. So why in the world is it still on the books? Well, the number one reason you will always hear is national security. So let's dig into that. Does that argument actually hold up? Right away, you run into this huge contradiction. The whole claim is that the Jones Act guarantees we have a ready-to-go fleet of ships and experienced sailors for the military in case of war. But in reality, the fleet of big ships this law protects has shrunk to only about 100, and they're old. But here's the real kicker. The military's own backup fleet, the ships they keep in reserve, most of them are foreign-built. The argument kind of falls apart right there. And it gets worse. If the military actually needed specific kinds of modern ships in an emergency, the Jones Act fleet would be totally useless. Need a US-built tanker to move liquefied natural gas? The number available is 0. How about a modern carrier to move those cows from Hawaii? 0. An asphalt carrier? You guessed it, 0. The very fleet that this law is supposedly meant to create for national security, well, for a lot of important things, it just doesn't exist. So if the national security argument is so shaky, what's the real reason this thing is still around? Well, to figure that out, you have to look at where it came from, and more importantly, who's cashing in on it today. Okay, so here's the whole story in a nutshell. This law wasn't born from some grand plan for national defense. Nope. It started out as a classic protectionist deal, a favor to help a company plug a shipping loophole. And the reason it's still here today is basically the same. All the benefits, we're talking billions of dollars, go to a very small, very powerful group of shipbuilders, shipping companies, and unions. They lobby like crazy to protect it. But the costs? They get spread out in tiny, invisible ways across all 330 million of us. A few cents here, a dollar there. We never see it, so we never complain. Ultimately, the Jones Act survives because most of us just don't know it exists. And that kind of leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What other invisible rules like this are out there quietly pulling the strings on our economy, on our daily lives? And what's the real price we're all paying for things we don't even know are happening?